Alright guys, so in this video we're going to talk about a whole bunch of new stuff I got here from Flywoo, but before I get to the individual stuff here, I do want to mention that Flywoo is having a Black Friday sale just like everyone else. It's starting tomorrow, the 27th. I believe it goes through December the 1st, and everything in the store looks like it's about 15% off. And yeah, so check out the link to the store and you'll see all the stuff that's on sale. I have links to also these parts as well in their store, as well as the other stores that you can possibly purchase these things at. Some of these things are pretty new. You might not be able to get them anywhere else, but that's about it for the Black Friday sale. Go ahead and check out that link, and there's pretty big savings right now going on at the Flywoo store. All right, so let's get into all the stuff here. The flight controller components here, I'll talk about those last. So let me just get into this guy here. So if you guys have been following my 4-inch micro long range videos, this is the go-to pack for basically getting those close to 30-minute flight times. This is an 18650 Lithium Ion Pack. This has the Sony VTC6 cells. It's a 3000 milliamp hour 4-cell pack. So it's got 4 18650 cells in here, an XT30. This is pretty much what everyone else is making too. I think FRC is making this one as well, and a few other places. So if you're looking to get 30-minute flight times on those 4-inch long range micros, this is the battery to go to. So I'll link that down in the description. The other thing they sent me is this is their GoPro Hero 7 already stripped down and put into a naked case. And this little lens adapter here and the camera butter Indie filter is actually mine. I just have it left on here because I've been using this. But it comes here in this box. Comes with the screen. So these are, I think, parts that they've gotten off of various places on the internet. And they get either the components, or they get a Hero 7 and they strip it down for you and then put it into their case. Obviously has the BEC inside already. And this is like a beta FPV style case, so it doesn't have that little bump here at the bottom though. So mounting it will be kind of you'll need some different mounts for it to fit. It's more in a similar shape and size as the V2 beta FPV case, which is that injection molded plastic. And the this camera will fit the Flywoo mount that's on the Explorer LR, and I'll have a video on this one later along with the 18650 battery. I'm going to try and see if I can do a 30-minute flight. I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not, but we'll see. That'll be coming out later, but mainly it's wanted to show you this because if you want to do the micro cine-whoops and naked GoPro stuff, but you don't want to strip down one, or you're afraid that you might break one, this is a way to go. But this does not work well with Real Steady Go because of the gyro issues. However, I've been testing this on pretty much a lot of different things, running a 4K 30 with Hypersmooth on, and the results are pretty decent. It's not quite as good as Real Steady Go, but it's obviously you don't have to pay for Real Steady Go, which is like $100, and the results are pretty good, and you don't have to deal with all the after post-processing. You can just use the file as it comes out of the GoPro, and it works pretty well. So if you're looking for a simpler solution, not as much DIY, you don't have to strip down a GoPro, you don't have to get Real Steady Go, this is not a bad solution. I think it's around $250 for this as well, so I think it's pretty close to the cost of a GoPro 7 anyway, and I think they might be making an 8 at some point. This is out of stock, as you can imagine. These are very hard to find. They build them as the orders come in, so I think it's always in pre-order status. You may want to contact them and see when they're going to get some more in. I don't know exactly right now when that's going to be, but this is an option available to you if you're interested. So just wanted to show you that one. Okay, so here is I guess this is the Finder SE Special Edition. So they make a lost model alarm that's just a single buzzer, and this one here is a dual buzzer. So you can see here, this has 2 LEDs and 2 buzzers, and it's actually connected right now here, but you can actually split them apart and use the different wires here. So you can have 2 different wires and have the one battery here that will power both buzzers. So this is the main buzzer board. Let's see if the camera will focus. And it's got that button there to disable the buzzer. You got some heat shrink. You do have to put this together. You can see that the leads here for the battery are taped for safety. But the main purpose of this is that you get 2 buzzers. It's going to be a little bit louder. Plus, you can put the buzzers on different parts of the quad, pointing in different directions, and that may help in terms of locating a lost crashed quad in the field and some deep grass or bushes or whatever. Because 2 is always better than 1. It's going to be louder. Plus, you can aim them in different directions. So sometimes if the sound is pointed down in the ground, then you can't really hear it as well. And if you point them in 2 different directions, then you can cover both of those directions. So this is another option if you want. If your model, if you're worried about they're losing in some tall grass or something like that, then go with this little option here and get 2 buzzers onto your model. Okay, so let's talk about the new 16x16 stack. So we have a 4-in-1 ESC and a new F411 flight controller. So the flight controller is similar to the original version. I think this is version 2.1. The ESC is way different. We'll talk about that here in a second. So obviously 16x16 mounts here on the flight controller. It's an F411. Comes with 2 hard UARTs and 2 pads to make 1 soft serial. So if you want to do like a GPS or something like that on soft serial, you can do that. But this is what the board looks like. You can see that none of the pads are labeled. You'll have to look at the documentation. I'll show you that here in a second. It does come with an OSD chip here. Here are the chips on the bottom. The 411 chip and MPU 6000. And it's got a voltage regulator right there. It's like 5 volts. I think it's 2 amps. Then you have these pins here. They go to the 4-in ESC. And I know that some of you guys aren't going to like the pins, but I think they do have solder pads here on the sides if you don't want to use that, or if you want to use this with different 4-in ESC, you can do that and not have to use the pins. You can just remove those. So this is the documentation that comes with the flight controller. You can see all the pads are labeled. There's your UART1, UART2 is over here, and then for the soft serial, it's using M5 and M6, and I think that's one of I think it's one of these pads here. I think it's these 2 pads here, are M5 and M6. It's a little hard to see on this documentation, and it's a very tiny board. But you can see here that the resource remapping is already set up here for the soft serial on these right here, and that looks like it's already set up out of the box for this particular flight controller. Okay, so here is the 4-in ESC. It's 35 amp 16x16 4-in ESC. It's only a BLS ESC. It's got a current sensor on there. It's got these 4 LEDs in the corners. So if you like playing, and a Flywoo's got a lot of that going on. And then you have these little tiny pins here that aren't labeled. And I'm not sure if those are exactly what's related to these pins here. If you want to use it with a different flight controller, they're not labeled, and there's no additional documentation on here. There might be some on the website. Yeah, I found I found a picture on their website that shows what all these pins are. So I'll just put that right here. You guys can refer to that. But yeah, that wasn't included in the packaging here, at least for my packaging. So in addition to it being a 35 amp 4-in ESC, it is also 226S capable. So I believe the previous generation of their 16x16 4-in ESC was like 224S, and I think only 15 amps max. So this is a huge upgrade over the old one. Let's see how this does. Wouldn't put this on a 5-inch or anything that's going to be like super heavy. This is probably going to be better for like a 4-inch lighter kind of quad. And just you have just a little more headroom in terms of the amp rating. So this is the Goku BS 35 amp 4-in ESC. Okay, so let's talk about these 2 whip style components here. We'll start off with the video transmitter. This is analog video transmitter, the Goku HM600. Very interesting design. It has holes here for 20x20, whip style 25mm by 25mm, and 30x30. So looks like we have an M3 hole, M2 hole, and this is like also an M2 hole here as well. And these little hole cutouts can be pulled off. So if you just want to do whip style, you just take off the 30x30. If you want to use 30x30, you just use the end holes there. So definitely it's kind of versatile. The 16x16 is not on here. You have these holes here by the micro FL connector for, I guess, to have some security mounts to hold that on with some screws, and a little I guess a little plate that's going to hold that micro FL connector on. Very thin board. It does go up to 600 milliwatts, 25 to 600 milliwatts. Power switchable. Get your button there, some LEDs, and then you have your solder pads here for all your connections to your flight controller. And not much going on here on the bottom. You have these interesting ground. I'm pretty sure this is some sort of grounding on the back here, but I think it's just for aesthetics only. And here's how much it weighs. 2.5 grams. Okay, so I guess this is what you would call their top of the line whip board here. This is a whip style board, 45 amp 4-in-1 ESC, and they're 32-bit ESCs. This comes with the 745 chip, not the 722 chip. So that's this chip right here. And you can see it's a little bit smaller, so it's going to be running a little more efficiently and less hot versus the 722. So that's why they call this the GN 745 all-in-one. That's the name of this. And while most of the 745s have 6 hardware UARTs, this one has 7 hardware UARTs. And you can see again, not a lot of the pads are labeled at all. So I'll have to refer to the documentation here. We'll show you that here in a second. But this does come with 2 voltage regulators, a 5 volt and a 9 volt. The 5 volts up to 2 amps, and the 9 volt is up to 1.5 amps. Obviously, this is targeting DJI pilots, with the air unit. So if you're looking to put this on some sort of a lightweight build and you have an air unit on there, this is probably going to work out pretty good for you, because it'll go up to 45 amps. Now, again, the downside with an all-in-one here with your flight controller and your ESC all together is if you blow an ESC, that the whole board's pretty much toast. Or something when your flight controller blows, then your whole flight controller here all-in-one board is toast. Usually what goes is the ESC. So it does go up to 40 amps total. I think it bursts up to 45 amps, but you probably don't want to push it that much. So I wouldn't put this on a heavy 5-inch build. Maybe an ultralight 5-inch build should be okay. And you definitely want to be using the capacitors that are included in the packaging. So yeah, this one here comes on an XD60. But you do get a mounting stuff here. I think that's a solid capacitor. What is this? 470 microfarad, 25 volts. But however, this board is 6S capable, so I'm not sure if that's quite enough. You may want to add additional capacitors. So again, try and keep your builds light. Don't put this on something really heavy. It's going to draw massive amounts of current. If your build is drawing like 60 amps per ESC, this is probably not the 4-in-1 or all-in-one board for you. You're probably going to be having some problems down the road with a blown ESC if you're drawing that much current. Anyway, here's a quick look at the documentation that came in the box. So to show all of the different pads and what they are. And 7 hardware UARTs. Just show a few examples of receivers. It's pretty basic stuff here. Let's see what all the UARTs could be possibly used for. They have some suggestions there. It's pretty much, looks like it covers pretty much all the bases in terms of how to wire it up, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Alright, so here's how much it weighs. 7.8 grams, and the 16 by 16 components, so the 4-in-1 ESC weighs 4.1 grams, and the flight controller weighs 2.9, and together they weigh 7 grams. Okay, so I think that's going to do it for this video. It's gone on way too long. Definitely check out the Black Friday sale over at Flywoo, as well as links to all these components. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see this board or the other ones in, let me know down in the comments section below. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video.